It's coming another movie for you guys. Now this movie reviewing, this is not at all a movie that I was planning on reviewing. I didn't even know this movie was coming out when it was, but I have seen this movie. My friends want to watch this movie with me, so I decided I'd watch it with them. And that movie is none other than a movie that I really didn't know what it was, but I knew it was a Nicolas Cage movie, and that movie is Army of One. This is a movie that I had zero to no expectations for. I didn't watch a trailer. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even talk about it in the movie preview. If you guys saw the November movie preview, 22 Tiger Dude and Adam Haskell briefly talked about this when we talked about USS Indianapolis Men of Courage. So I'm like, all right, I'm kind of curious in this movie. So I checked it out, and in general, I will say that this is definitely a better movie for Nicolas Cage to go in. That being said, this still isn't a great movie. This movie for me was just okay. I found this movie to be very, very forgettable and really filled with a lot of missed opportunities. But let's get more into the plot for Army 1, because the plot to this movie is truly something crazy. I mean, the plot of this movie really is insane. Basically, we focus on this guy who was a real person, Gary Faulkner. He is an ex-construction contractor, and he's like this unemployed handyman, and he basically, for some reason, ever since like he was a child, he's been able to actually talk to God, like literally talk to God, like right next to you, like he was like his alter ego or something. But he believes that God has sent him to capture Osama bin Laden, basically, and he goes on this quest, basically, and he basically is destined to prove everyone wrong. That is essentially the plot of Army of One. You can already tell what movie you're getting into, so let's just get into this, starting off with the cast. Now, while I found this movie to be very, very average, I will say that the acting is actually great. I think the acting in this movie is genuinely the best part of it. It is something that I can genuinely say I really did like, and I think everyone, for the most part, really did a good job, especially Nicolas Cage as Gary Faulkner. Believe it or not, as crazy as this role is, this is definitely one of Nicolas Cage's better roles. I really think he did a good job at getting into this character, and it's mainly because you don't for a second believe that this is just Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage. It's not at all. It's actually him playing a much different type of role. Gary Faulkner, in general, the character, is very hard to, not that he's not likable, he's just a very hard character to really identify, but I think Nicolas Cage overall did a really great job with it. You could tell he really did get into this character, and really you believe that he was Gary Faulkner, that he was very crazy. Gary Faulkner in general, this is someone who's trying to prove everyone wrong. You definitely do see that. You know, they play into his mental disability a lot, but I thought overall he did a really good job. I really like his performance, and especially someone who really gives a lot of shitty performances. For me to say he was actually really good was definitely a breath of fresh air. I'm not used to seeing Nicolas Cage give an actually good performance, and he actually did in this movie, and hopefully this is a sign that maybe he actually is going to make good stuff, because he definitely was very good in this. Now, Russell Brand, this is someone that I don't think I've seen a movie in a very long time. It feels like he doesn't really make a ton of movies, but he actually really did a great job as God in this movie. By far the funniest thing about this movie. I really did like Russell Brand in this movie. There are some fantastic jokes with him as God. This is the most casual, laid-back God you could think of. I mean, he's not at all like an almighty, powerful God you probably thought he was. He was just a lot of fun to watch. There's this great joke about the Old Testament and the New Testament that I was just laughing my ass off at. I thought overall he was just really great, and the chemistry between him and Nicolas Cage definitely was there. I thought overall these two worked very well together, and they definitely are the thing that makes most of this movie. I really did like what they had to do here. They overall were really great. Now, my problem with this movie, the rest of the actors I thought were very much phoning it in. There's a love interest for Nicolas Cage in this movie, played by Wendy McLendon Covey, and the whole movie, I felt like she was just phoning it in. She didn't really know what she was doing, and I didn't really get what the point of her character was, other for them to be a love interest for Gary Faulkner. There's some very weird stuff between these two I'll get into when we get into the screenplay, and also these detectives that's eventually hunting Gary, Rainn Wilson and Dennis O'Hare, just didn't really fit into the movie overall. I don't really know why exactly they needed to be here. Well, I understand why, but they just felt very out of place in the movie. I definitely will say they come in way too late, and I liked what they had to do because they're exploring the whole, oh, he's crazy and there's no way he can actually find Osama bin Laden. I thought overall they did a good job. It's just they weren't really given the screen time that they deserve, and really because that they were very, very forgettable, and they just felt very randomly thrown in when they could have easily have a lot more focus. And So while the cast is great, now I'm going to get into my negatives of the movie, because from here on out, I don't really have a lot of positive to say. The directing here by Larry Charles is basically my main complaint of this entire movie. Larry Charles, in my opinion, I think had a lot of ideas to work with. This is a very hard concept to depict, and I really don't think he depicted this right at all. I mean, the problem with this movie is not the fact that the acting's bad, because like I said, the acting was really good. Um, but my problem with it is it is not that the acting wasn't great, is not, not the acting or anything like that. My problem with the movie is the way that it's depicted. That is my problem with this movie. The way that this whole event was depicted, I thought was completely the wrong way to do it. This is a movie where most of it you're not meant to be taken too seriously, and it was very hard for me to do that because I felt like you really weren't utilizing the character really well. This is a man who has a serious mental disability. He forgets a lot of things, he can't really do a lot of things right, and yeah, some of it's funny to watch, but at the same time, I felt really bad for him. I felt like they could have done a lot more emotional stuff with him, and they just didn't really do that. It seemed like they tried to do that, but they didn't really want to, and I don't really know why. This is the perfect opportunity where they could have gone deeper into his psyche and really show why he feels this way, and they really didn't do that as well as they could have. So the directing really was off, and the screenplay, I feel, is very, very messy. The screenplay, this is a screenplay that I wouldn't say is one of the worst, definitely not one of the worst of the year, but it's a very, very disappointing screenplay. I feel like the screenplay could have been a lot better. There are some scenes that are genuinely very funny, and there are some genuinely great scenes in there, definitely, but the dialogue in this movie is really bad. I definitely will say it. The dialogue in this movie is really not that great. Many scenes feel very off. I mean, there is a scene where Nicolas Cage is reunited with Wendy McLendon Covey, and right when they meet, it goes from, oh, I saw you in high school, to I jerked off to you every night. I mean, it goes very, very weird in that direction, and I feel like the movie in general, it was weird, but it was weird to be weird, and it really did not work in the way the movie wanted to. I really did not think they used that very well, and the scenes that were funny, like I said, they were funny, but the movie at points I felt actually was a bit offensive, believe it or not, to the man himself, Gary Faulkner. I felt like the movie was trying to make him crazy, but at times it seems like they're trying to justify what he's doing. I really couldn't figure out if the movie was mocking him or if they were trying to say maybe he had a point here. I really couldn't tell what the movie was trying to do, and it really did affect my overall enjoyment of the film. I really wanted to like this character, but because the movie was so, I think, lost in what they really wanted to say with him, I really couldn't figure out if the movie really wanted me to like his character or if they just wanted me to think that he was crazy, because there are aspects to his character that I really, really like the idea that this is someone that sets his entire life on just this one goal and will do anything he can to prove that he is right and won't let anyone tell him different. You definitely see that very well in his role, and will make sure that he sees this through and achieve what he needs to achieve. All of that is so well portrayed. The problem is the rest of the movie is just a joke, really. There's so many jokes in this movie, and I think the movie in general, they could have just taken it a little bit more seriously, and that's something I really did have a problem with. The cinematography in this movie is great. I think they really did do a great job of the cinematography. The way that Pakistan looks, things like that, I thought was really well done. Definitely some very good stuff with that. There's some good visual gags as well. I definitely did chuckle at a bit, and I thought they did a good job with that. The score here was fine. Nothing really too much to say about the score. I do think the score was a little bit cartoony at points. I think maybe if they would have gotten rid of a few musical cues, then maybe the scenes could have actually turned out a little better. But there are so many scenes where they're playing music and it sounds silly and it's supposed to be a serious scene, so I really didn't think that worked either. The editing in this movie is another one of my problems. I think this movie in general is way too short. I think this movie could have been 2 hours long, and I don't know why it wasn't 2 hours long. This is a movie that is not even a theatrically released movie. It's barely a limited release. I mean, it's barely playing in any theaters. I think it's only playing in a few, and if it's not, it's on VOD. They could have easily made this a 2 hour movie. I don't know why they didn't. This is a movie that really would have benefited more if it was 2 hours, and they really didn't do that. Now, my other biggest problem with the movie is the ending of this movie. I'm not going to spoil what ends up happening, but let me just say, the movie does make an attempt to get deep in the last half, and I was very impressed by that. There is this one scene towards the end of the movie, and I'm not going to say what it was, but it involves Nicolas Cage's character. He's in the living room, he hears what happened to Osama bin Laden, and things like that, and it involves that, and there was just this great pathos in that scene. It felt very, very rewarding, very satisfying. It felt like, okay, this this is why we've been following this character. This is what I wanted from this character. We've been the perfect ending, and then the movie just continues to go on, and I don't know why. It would have been the perfect point to end the movie, and if the movie would have ended there, then I would have enjoyed the movie a lot more. It would have given me what I wanted. I would have felt a lot more satisfied, and overall, I would not have felt this movie was as forgettable as it really was. So overall, guys, Army of One is just a very forgettable movie. I really don't have too much else to say about it than what I did. I wanted to like this movie a lot more. I don't know why this movie salvaged so many opportunities to go deeper into this man's psyche, to not be as ridiculous as it was. I get that it's from the director of Borat, but I really feel like it wasn't the best director to do it. I feel like they could have made this a little bit more serious. They definitely could have the humor in there, but they could have made it a little bit more serious and definitely taken it as more of a serious thing, because it did actually happen. If it didn't happen, that's a different story. Borat didn't happen. There is no Borat in the world. This guy is real, and that really is the thing that really did upset me. The thing that this is a real man, and that I didn't really feel like they gave him the respect that he deserves, and that really did kind of ruin a lot of my experience for the movie. But overall, guys, I am going to give Army of One a 2.5 out of 5 or a C-. For the things that are great, they are really great, but this is a movie that completely didn't realize what it could have done. It completely misused its opportunities, and for some reason focused on humor rather than actually building this character, which I don't really know why they did at all, especially the way the movie ends. It just left me very confused with what they really were trying to do, because the movie feels like it's supposed to be mocking him, but then at the end it gives us this heart, and it just doesn't really work in the end, and unfortunately this is a very forgettable movie that I'll probably forget about the second I'm done with this review, to be honest with you guys. But that's really for my review of Army of One. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. Definitely very disappointed by it. This movie was very, very weird. I mean, when I mean it's weird, it's a very strange movie. You really haven't seen anything quite like this till you watch it, but that's my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. Have seen it, loved your thoughts on it. Did you like the way that it paid respects to, do you think it paid respects to Gary Faulkner? Do you think it had the right amount of emotion in there? I just really felt like stuff about this movie was very off. But that's my review. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for another movie review, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.